The dense forest pressed in on either side of the narrow road, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers to snatch at the last rays of the setting sun. I gripped the wheel of my old sedan, my knuckles turning white as I navigated the winding path through the heart of the woods. I'd always been drawn to the mystique of the forest, but tonight, that allure was replaced by a growing unease that crawled up my spine. The trees seemed to close in, their shadows conspiring against the failing daylight. It was an unfamiliar route, a shortcut that Google Maps had suggested to save me time on my journey. The GPS signal flickered on my phone, leaving me alone in the dimming forest with only the headlights cutting through the encroaching darkness. As I drove, my eyes flicked between the road and the shadows dancing on the periphery of my vision. I shook off the growing sense of foreboding, telling myself it was just nerves. My destination wasn't far, and I'd be out of this forest soon. Then, my headlights caught a glimpse of something in the middle of the road ahead. I squinted, trying to make out what it was. A figure. My heart raced, and I eased off the gas, the headlights revealing the silhouette of a young girl standing alone in the middle of the forest road. My initial reaction was concern. What was a girl doing out here, all alone? But as I got closer, a chill ran down my spine. Her appearance was unsettling. Long, disheveled hair covering most of her face, and she wore a tattered white dress that seemed out of place in the dark woods. I slowed down, pulling up beside her. The girl didn't move, her face still obscured by her unkempt hair. I hesitated, debating whether to ask if she needed help. It was then that I noticed the eerie silence around us. No sounds of crickets or rustling leaves, just an oppressive stillness. "Hey!" I called out, my voice barely rising above a whisper. "Are you okay?" The girl slowly lifted her head, revealing a face hidden in the shadows. Her eyes were wide and vacant, devoid of any emotion. My unease deepened, and I considered driving away, leaving her in the eerie silence of the forest. But something held me there, a strange curiosity mixed with a growing sense of dread. The girl took a step toward the car, and in the glow of my headlights, I saw her pale, lifeless complexion. Panic clawed at my chest, but I forced a shaky smile. "Do you need a ride somewhere?" I asked, my voice betraying my fear. She didn't respond, just continued to stare with those empty eyes. Against my better judgment, I unlocked the passenger door, and she slid into the seat without a word. The smell of damp earth and decay clung to her, making my stomach churn. I tried to break the silence, asking her name, where she was headed, anything to dispel the growing tension in the car. But the girl remained silent, her gaze fixed straight ahead. As we drove deeper into the forest, the road became more twisted and overgrown. The GPS on my phone flickered again, losing its signal entirely. Panic set in as I realized I had no idea where I was or where I was headed. The only constant was the silent girl sitting beside me. I tried to turn the car around, but the forest seemed to conspire against me, the trees closing in tighter, the road winding into a labyrinth of shadows. My headlights flickered, and I could feel the girl's gaze on me, cold and unyielding. The air inside the car grew thick, suffocating. I rolled down the window, hoping to let in some fresh air, but instead, a nauseating stench filled the cabin. The girl's hair billowed in the wind, revealing more of her lifeless face. That's when I saw it, a trail of dried blood running down her cheek. My breath caught in my throat, and I swerved the car to a stop. The forest outside seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy, and the girl turned her head slowly to meet my gaze. Her eyes, once vacant, now held a hint of malice. Fear paralyzed me as she whispered, "You shouldn't have stopped." I fumbled for the door, desperate to escape the suffocating atmosphere of the car. But the moment I stepped outside, the forest swallowed me in darkness. The girl's chilling laughter echoed through the trees, and I stumbled blindly through the underbrush. The forest seemed to stretch on forever, the trees closing in until I couldn't see anything but shadows. I heard whispers, indistinct voices that seemed to come from all directions. Panic clawed at my throat, and I ran blindly, branches tearing at my clothes. I don't know how long I stumbled through that nightmarish maze. Every time I thought I saw a way out, the forest twisted and turned, trapping me in its malevolent embrace. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, and the air was heavy with an oppressive energy. Finally, I collapsed to the ground, exhausted and defeated. The forest seemed to mock me, the shadows closing in as the girl's laughter echoed in my ears. I was lost, trapped in a nightmare of my own making. As the first light of dawn broke through the trees, I found myself back on the forest road, my car parked just a few feet away. The air was still, and the oppressive silence replaced by the sounds of the waking forest. I stumbled toward my car, the events of the night playing over and over in my mind. I drove away from that forest, haunted by the memory of the girl and the malevolent energy that lurked within. I never spoke of that night, fearing that the mere mention of it would bring the forest back into my life. To this day, when I close my eyes, I can still hear the whispers and the echo of the girl's laughter. The forest, with its twisted paths and shadowy depths, is a place I'll never forget. A place where the boundary between the living and the supernatural is thin, and where the beautiful facade hides a darkness that can consume even the bravest souls.